Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this week's Word and Song. I don't know about you, but winter is hard for me. February is hard for me. And sometimes my thoughts can go down some pretty dark paths. I start thinking about the evils in this world and I get angry. How can people be so hateful? How can people reject truth when the evidence is right there in front of them? How do we even get to this point? And then the guilt sets in because I know that I should be doing more to be compassionate to my neighbor, to love my neighbor. I am not always thinking pure thoughts, as it were. And that feeling can settle like a stone in my gut, weighing me down and dimming the light of hope that should be in the heart of all believers. It's at times like this that I really need to remind myself about the truth of God's grace and let it wash over me. St. Paul wrote a lot about grace and sin and what it means in the lives of believers. The book of Romans is like a textbook on these subjects. And maybe some of these ideas that I want to share with you right now will offer you some comfort the way they do me. And the first point I want to make is that while there may be a me and a you, there's not really an us and a them, because we are all connected both by sin and by grace. In Romans chapter 5, verses 18 to 20, Paul says this: "Therefore, just as one man's trespass led to condemnation for all, so one man's act of righteousness leads to justification and life for all. For just as by the one man's disobedience we were made sinners, so by the one man's obedience the many will be made righteous. But law came in with the result that the trespass multiplied. But where sin increased, grace abounded all the more." So all of us, as a part of God's creation, are connected. Adam's sin marked us all. But the love and grace and sacrifice of Jesus also connects us all. And no matter how you cut it, sin is still smaller than grace. And the grace of Jesus is bigger than any failures that we might have. But where sin increased, grace abounded all the more. Somehow, this allows me to breathe a little easier. Maybe some of you have also had this experience during worship when, after our confession, the pastor announces the forgiveness of sins. And at that point, I actually can often feel a physical release. The tension in my shoulders eases and I take a deep breath. The song that you're about to hear, Holy Water by We the Kingdom, speaks to this feeling. The chorus says, "Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony in my ears, like holy water on my skin." Forgiveness refreshes the soul. It's a relief. We may still have earthly consequences to pay for our transgressions against our brothers and sisters, but repentance, true repentance, leads to new beginnings. Later on, the song speaks to what many of us who have been through years of confirmation classes have learned to refer to as cheap grace. This is the idea that since you're forgiven anyway, why not just do what you want? The song says, "I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change." And Paul speaks to this as well. Chapter 6 begins, "What then are we to say? Should we continue in sin in order that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who died to sin go on living in it?" When you understand just how big the gift of grace is, our response to this overwhelming love being thrown at us is not to sin against the God who loves us and our neighbors, but rather to spread that love around. Like Paul says in verse 13, "Present yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life." So take a deep breath. You have been brought from death to life. Put down whatever baggage you're carrying around. Let the sinful thoughts go. Allow the grace of God to wash over you. Feel the love in your bones and spread it around. This is Word and Song.
God, I'm on my knees again. God, I'm begging, please again. I need you. Oh, I need you. Walking down these desert roads, water for my thirsty soul. I need you. Oh, I need you. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony to my ears, like holy water on my skin. Dead man walking, slave to sin. I want to know about being born again. I need you. Oh God, I need you. So take me to the riverside. Take me under, baptize. I need you. Oh God, I need you. Oh, your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony to my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony to my ears. It's like holy